And then could you briefly describe your experience with Cuban music inside of Cuba?
Inside of Cuba? Yeah, it was interesting. And the first time I went, I signed up. It was '90s. I signed up to go on a trip with a bunch of professors. You know, company sends you a note that says, go to Cuba with other professors. And so I went to the administration here, and I was supported to go because I wanted to teach a course in Cuban music. I actually hear a course on Cuban culture because it really wasn't a music course. And you can only teach so much music if people haven't had background in music. So I wanted to go and figure it out. I wanted to figure out, you know, what made it tick. So I landed in, went to two cities, Santiago, Cuba, which is the New Orleans of Cuba, which is in the eastern side. We always say north and south. Cubans say east and west. The island sits there. It's right across from Haiti. It's the birthplace of all early Cuban music, except for rumba. And then, of course, Havana, which is a major city in the world. So I was with these political scientists and people, and we went to meetings, and I told them all along I would go to 2 days of meetings, and that was it. I'm just not a meeting guy, you know, I'm a kind of a doer, as Alex knows. So I sat there for 2 days, and, you know, one day on sugar, one day on the medical system in Cuba. So I learned a lot, but I was ready to go. So the next day, I meet all the political scientists. They're from all over Vassar and Harvard and everything. And then I said, what are you doing? Well, we're going to the Jose Marti Museum. They said, what are you going to do? I'm just walking. I have my backpack on. I have two instruments, trumpet and flugelhorn, and I just walked. And the only Spanish I knew then was, I didn't even know hola. I just knew no moleste, por favor. So I just walked down the street, you know, and I walk into clubs, and every restaurant they have live bands because they don't have DJs and they don't have CD players. And trumpet it's really weird to say, but trumpet in the Cuban culture is actually respected. It's an instrument that they put into a style of music, so they almost have to have trumpet. So being a trumpeter, I would just walk in and play with these groups. So I did that all day, and I still do that now. You can Google on YouTube. I think it's Cafe Paris, Havana, and my name, and you can see what I do. I'm sitting there, and at that time I had about 6 people from Richmond, and we're sitting in the club, and the band is right there, and we have our horns out, and we just start playing along with the band. And they're very gracious, very warm-hearted people, and the minute they see a trumpet, they want you to come up and play. And the best thing for me musically, if I may, because people ask me, what's the best thing about Cuba? And there's a bazillion. The best thing for me is that the language of their music hasn't changed since the 50s and 60s, maybe even 40s. So when I learn the language of their music, I'm learning it the way they spoke it 50 years ago, next to somebody speaking the language.